that's put in for contributions and also a lot of questions to read out. I'll fit in as many as I can in the next 20 minutes. The first speaker will be Bassem Chit from Lebanon, followed by Duško Vlahović from Montenegro. There's a microphone in the middle and one at the front, so please come and use a microphone. Just while the speakers are coming up, I'll read the first couple of questions. We have quiet, please.
Do we answer one by one, or?
I'll put yours at the end. The first question is from Chris Bayburn. Bearing in mind that there have been no communist regimes that have survived more than 30 years, why should I believe that communism has a real chance of becoming reality? The second is from Alice Randomson from Communism for Dummies magazine. This is directed to Slavoj. Slavoj, do you do drugs? What is your attitude to drugs? Do you do drugs? What is your attitude to drugs? What would be the role of drugs in a communist society? The question is from Pauline Wheatbowen from Unison. Would you say that communism is not only possible, but inevitable? Okay, so the first speaker is Bassem and then Duško. You've got 3 minutes to speak, and I'll tap the microphone.
The first thing that really hit me, the issue of communizing and the appropriation of spaces and all these things. Honestly, I only see it happening in places where it can happen. In places, for example, in the Middle East, it's impossible. You'll have tanks in a few minutes in front of you. What do you do with that? This is where you have to organize resistance. And when you look at the issue of resistance and how you deal with all of these things, one of the trials that happened, for example, in the 2002 and 2003 in Lebanon, some people decided to start up a commune, and if they want to break totally with capital, one question was asked to them in a meeting and nobody answered. How do you get in a bus from one place to another? Who creates the bus? Who drives the bus? Who organizes the process of transportation? Who organizes all of these things that actually make us live? Talking about spaces and the creation of different communization spaces, it's for me, it's more of a romantic luxury than actually, because the real thing is how do you organize the production process, which we all survive on. We cannot survive without organizing how we live on a daily basis. And another thing is, one park it brings hope because they won a battle. They did not create communism because communism is on the picket line, is in demonstrations, is when you go into fight with the police, it's all of these things. When all of society is free, then we can talk about communism. It doesn't start with bits and pieces. It starts when the struggle hit a peak, and then you start seeing the future because you start seeing the potential of the population in organizing itself in its totality, not in bits and pieces, because organizing tens of people or hundreds of people is not enough. That's what happened, for example, in 2006 when the Israeli attack. Beirut was organized by different grassroots groups. It was not organized by the state. The state did not exist. 1 week after, the state intervened in every single locality, and then they banned aid from different states. What do you do in these states? You cannot even keep the states and leave the other spaces being attacked by the state. You have to go there and fight them as well. This is how you spread it. And you don't spread it by spaces, you spread it by struggle. Thank you.
So next speaker is Duško, and he'll be followed by Rachel Everall from Waltham Forest.
Hello to everyone. I'm British from Montenegro. I used to live here for 21 years, and I arrived in 1987 and moved back to 2008 to Montenegro. And this spring I was chosen Vice President of Communist Party of Montenegro. This party used to be leading party in North Yugoslavia, but with disintegration Yugoslavia, counter-revolution 1989, we lost almost everything. We don't have anything. We don't have any property because it was taken over by counter-revolution 1989, when was actually made dictatorship, and there was completely change of local government in Montenegro. And Communist Party changed the name to Democratic Socialist Party. What is not democratic at all, what is not socialist, what they done, they privatize everything, they destroy everything what 3 generations, our grandparents, our parents, and my generation built in Yugoslavia that destroyed in 10 years. What we were building since in all 20th century, they completely destroyed. This means, what they done, they first, they legally take all property. Property was the government. All factory was property of workers. And it wasn't actually property of government. They legally, what they done, they legally just privatized all this property. And now, there is no even workers anymore, because they lost all factory, they privatized, and they closed. This is what is happening. And the Communist Party at this moment is completely without any power. I'm from 30 members of Communist Party, I'm the youngest member. That's why probably they told me. Most of them are really old people, over 75, 80 years old. Young people, they don't know much about that, and it's very difficult for me and a little younger member to organize and prove them, and show them what was actually Yugoslavia 25, 30 years ago. And many people don't know what actually, you know all this was happening in Sarajevo, Serbia, Bosnia, but you don't know how was economic status in former Yugoslavia. 1989, when...
You need to start summing up, please.
Sorry. When International Monetary Fund wanted to destroy Yugoslavia, they asked to close banks, because bank wasn't even government. It was controlled by workers. You know, Žižek knows that very well. And
I definitely don't know that at any point banks were controlled by workers. I'm sorry, then Yugoslavia wished.
Sorry, Holloway. You have to wind up.
all right, okay, sorry.
No, you have to stop.
And they wanted to dismantle
Sorry, Holloway, you have to stop.
All right. All right. What I wanted to say, there is big trouble with the Montenegrin government. They want to join NATO. Only way to stop them is to take out the government and to make some kind of demonstration against joining NATO. And I mean, this is only way. What I just asking, what I will ask from British people to help us organize a referendum, what is not legally obliged by our government to be done.
Okay,
This is what I
thank you.
want to say.
Before Rachel speaks, I've got a couple more questions to read out. This is from Toros. Is there a possibility for Marxists and anarchists to work together in the aim of reaching a communist world, since their conceptualisation of communism is generally the same? And secondly, from Mark from LSE, is democracy the biggest obstacle to stopping irreversible climate change before it becomes irreversible? In 15 years, he says. Okay, the speaker after Rachel will be Paul Holborough from Brixton.
Hi, I want to take issue with John Holloway, really, because I think listening to him, it seems to me that he underestimates what capitalism does to the human condition. Capitalism makes us alienated. Marx described a process where what is human becomes animal, and we can only feel ourselves when we are doing the animal. And it's through our labour, which is what actually creates us as something special, that gets taken away from us and completely perverts our lives. It means that we can't imagine all our capabilities because of the world that we live in. And that relationship doesn't just stop at work, so we don't get rid of alienation when we leave work. It carries all through our lives, which is partly why so many people feel that they can't think, that they feel that they can't dream. And it's through resistance that you do see, but partly you have to dream if you're a Marxist and want to imagine a better world. Part of keeping you going is thinking about different possibilities. But it's important to also realise that your dreams are based in the world that we live in. So if you just think about, I'm a healthcare worker, and as far as I can get when I'm thinking about health work, is better hospitals, because that's what I've known, that's what healthcare is. Nicer drugs, more research on drugs and better hospitals, but actually, in a whole change, a revolutionary change, everything gets up and played for grabs, and in that, all our ideas change. And what's exciting about within resistance is that dreams and dreamers are created, and those dreams, some have contingency, you know, when you think about from the early Chartists and their sort of dreams about wanting land and wanting more. But one of the main things that people want is to be in the driving seat of their own lives. And I think that's what John Holloway doesn't see. If all we can have is a park or a series of parks, then we're not fundamentally changing. It's a funny thing, because it's like we need to realise, we need to dream, but we also need to realise that our alienation perverts our dreams. It's only in active and changing the world that we can unpervert our dreams and really release our own imagination and dream the dreams we need to dream.
This is from Rifat. Does it not signify that the horizon of capitalism has not been transcended if communism is still defined within the framework of the terms of economic production? And secondly, from Oliver from Germany, don't we need socialism first and only then communism? After Paul will be Thomas Franke from the Czech Republic.
Comrades, these debates are fantastically important because they are a real riposte to those who argue that Marxism is a dead dogma. It is not. It is a tool to try to explain the world. But I must say that both to Slavoj and to John, that my perception of the world differs radically from theirs. John mentions Navarino Park. Slavoj mentions the anti-capitalist overload. Now, I think it's very difficult to explain to Greek workers that there is an anti-capitalist overload in Greece when they're being asked to take a 20% cut in their wages. I think it is also, quite frankly, unbelievable to point to Navarino Park as a way of resisting the vicious attacks of the Greek government and indeed followed by other European governments across the continent. And it seems to me, therefore, that where we in the Socialist Workers' Party differ from those other people on the platform is that we believe that our tradition looks at the democracy of workers in struggle. So that, of course, there is a perception in China that Foxconn is going to herald a more tolerant Chinese working class. But comrades, I do not believe that for one moment. The Chinese ruling class is a vicious ruling class that will use any means possible in order to hold down the Chinese workers. And what Foxconn have done is to frighten the Chinese ruling class into trying to hide their weakness. And therefore, I believe that revolutionary Marxists say that the question of workers' struggle, and I don't agree with Slavoj, the question of workers' councils, of councils of trade unionists and neighbourhoods, they are not an imposition from revolutionary Marxists. They are an imposition from the experience of workers in struggle. What I believe we've heard tonight from those two is very interesting, very entertaining, but in no way points a way forward to change this rotten world.
I have a couple more questions to read out, and I'll just point out I've had this many questions, so we won't get through them all. The first question is from Richard from the CWU. To Slavoj. We now have the new international philanthropists like Bill Gates throwing money at good causes. I wonder if you could say a few words about these good people, or neo-communists or neo-paternalists or whatever name you care to give them. And the other question is, please justify Slavoj's view about direct democracy, that it is an illusion, especially if you take into consideration the huge capabilities of computer networking.
Oh.
Computer networking. And after Thomas will be Judith Orr.